playing Crystal Palace. I want to see how they're playing. But telling me Liverpool playing Crystal Palace on the female team, I can't be bothered. So the amount of revenue the men's football generates is what makes them get paid the way they get paid. Simple.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. How many women, now tell me, how many women compared to the percentage of men who goes to the stadium to watch football?
Very true.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Like, the world population says there are more women than men in the world. Am I right?
It's 51% to 49%. Yeah, 51% women, 49% men.
Yeah. If that is so, then the women football should be having a lot of people in the stands.
Right.
So this is a man's game. It's a man's game. It's been a man's game. But the love of football has made it that, okay, let's inculcate it and let's include women in this game because it's a game.
Yeah.
So the revenue, the endorsement, and the crowd you pull in is what determines what you get paid. It's the same thing for big teams like City. Why do you think all these rich Saudi guys go and buy teams like City? Because they know they have the crowd. If we pump money in it and the team does well, we get money back. So it's all about what you get in. If you know you can pull in a lot of money, then the players tend to get paid more. Why do you think that when teams go to Champions League, where the whole world sees them every week when they play, why do they think they get such money and some other teams who are not in Champions League don't get that money? So it's all about money. It's all about money. What you get in, that's how you get paid.
Yeah. It is about money, but I think, to be fair, I mean, I disagree with one or two things there, that the women's game is in a different trajectory. I mean, I think it's true to say women's football was actually banned from about 1920 to 1972. Now, how that could possibly have happened, how the male authorities could have said women will not play football, is quite beyond me. Up until 50 odd years ago, that seems crazy. Since then, they have been playing more than we've realised because it's never been publicised. But I think they are on an upward trajectory. That the crowds do get bigger. The WSL is clearly an attractive league to watch, and I think personally, I don't think I would agree that it's a man's game. I mean, it is a man's game in terms of men play it, but it's no different to me. Men play hockey; it's a tough game with the sticks, and women play. And I don't ever perceive that the women's game is less tough for them than the man's game is. And I don't think of hockey as a man's game any more than it's a woman's game. It's things both genders can play. And I just think maybe in, who knows, 5, 10, 20 years, women's game could get much, much bigger. Now, I suppose it can never, we like to think, never get quite as potentially brutal as the men's game because, men are physically stronger, perhaps more resilient physically than a woman can be. But let's not pretend there are not some tough women footballers, because there are, definitely, and there's a lot of very, very skillful footballers. I mean, one young player I saw a couple of years ago, I think she may have been on loan to Man City. I think she plays for Man City now, but her name is Jess Park, I think it is, and she scored a great goal the other day on the TV. But she's a fabulous footballer. She's very young, I mean, probably 19, 20, but she is excellent, as indeed Alicia Lehmann that Emmy mentioned. And there was another one this week, a Barcelona woman, and I can't remember her name, but they've now signed her on an extended contract to 2028. This woman, and on a very big contract. She's the best paid women's footballer in the world now. I don't know what her salary is, indeed Alicia Lehman that Emmy mentioned. And there was another one this week, a Barcelona woman, and I can't remember her name, but they've now signed her on an extended contract to 2028. This woman, and on a very big contract. She's the best paid women's footballer in the world now. I don't know what her salary is, but they've signed her, as I say, for the next 4 seasons. So I think more money inevitably is coming into the women's game, and it will happen. And I think as that happens, the publicity gets better, and there's more likelihood of women themselves going to those games as well as men. I mean, I can only speak as far as Palace is concerned, and when I go to an away game sometimes with Palace, but there are a lot of women fans. I think of where I sit, where our group sit. There's part of our group is women, and all around us there are. I mean, it obviously is a dominance of male fans attending, but I think more women fans than might generally be thought do go to football. And I think they go to women's football as well, perhaps not yet in the numbers that we talked about. But yeah, I think it is equally a woman's game, although there's a different intensity, perhaps that's the wrong word, a different physical level, because, let's face it, some of the tackles that happen in the men's game are potential leg breakers, and very often they get sent off. And I'm not sure you see too much of that in the women's game, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, men's game's been around longer than the women's game. So, perhaps, it will catch up. I have a feeling that, it would start to rake in the sort of the audience. Perhaps not as much as the men's one, but it will start to gradually pick up. Now, there was something that I suggested last week, and I just wanted your thought on it. So what if the government takes like a withholding tax or something?
Takes what?
Like a tax.
All right.
Yeah, so they withhold the tax, say about 10, 20, 10, 10, 10%, 15% from the men's. Like Barcelona. So say for instance, Barcelona men, Barcelona female, they take 15% out of the wages collectively of the players, and then use it to sort of, compensate for the salaries of the. Would that work?
Over to you, Femi.
When we're talking about money, we have to be very careful. People don't joke with their money. To me, it's a good thing if the team managers or the club managers can find a way of doing that and getting more women involved. For example, I'll be honest with you, some women just watch football because maybe their partner is watching and they like, the adrenaline, the way it jumps and stuff like that. And some genuinely, you'll be surprised that the information they have about football, some men don't have it. So if there's a way these clubs can do that, you see the salary is just a number. They're just putting it there, oh, we'll pay you this. If, for example, if I'm managing a club and you tell me this player